What's going on, people? Decided to record the abbreviation video on the U-joint setup on a semi-truck. Maybe it will help for some people. I talked to a few drivers. They're actually not well educated how the actually system works and how to determine if the U-joint is bad or good. So we will start from abbreviation. What size of the U-joints do exist? As you can see, that it's 1210, C2, which I never seen one, C4, etc., etc., etc. You can see it. On the modern trucks is 1810, 1760, then SPL 170 and SPL 250. This is the most modern one. If you go to 550 or 1610 or 1650, this is older trucks, like I'm talking about early 90s, late 80s. That's when they used to use smaller U-joints for reason being because they were a lot less torque on the engine, so they didn't ran such a heavy U-joints. Then they have 1000 and as you can see, a lot of them. This company, ITP, I used to work for them, Inland Truck Parts. I think you guys familiar with them. They specialize in this kind of U-joint. So this ruler, U-joint ruler, that's where I got it from. You can buy one, but unless you do mechanical work constantly, then you need one. But this is just an example how many different size of U-joints are. So the 1810 and 1760, 1810, that's usually how it works. Usually the U-joints run from transmission to the front differential. And then the shaft in between, I call it shaft in between, drive shaft in between the axles would run 1760. If you have a truck with a SPL 250, they will run from a transmission to the front differential, and then SPL 170 will run in between shaft. This is, I think, mainly the most common ones. Mack used their little different U-joint. They look like a butterfly U-joint kind of deal, they call it, but I'm not going to go into detail on those. Volvo's using an SPL 250, a lot of them is, and SPL 170. Kenworth Peterbilt's kind of mixed. They use in 1810 and SPLs and 1760s. So way to tell the difference between a, let's say, 1810 and SPL. SPL U-joint, that's the one who will have really, really big cap, like they are fat. In my opinion, this is the most reliable drive line. First of all, they don't fail as much. Second of all, they build so much more heavy, and their U-joint is just giant. SPL 250 is a really big U-joint. 1810, they are big compared to like 1650 or 1610. But SPL, I think I prefer to run an SPL in my opinion, but they are a lot more expensive to maintain. The U-joint's a lot more expensive, and the drive line's a lot heavier. But I have 1810. I live with it. It seems like I have a problem, just a personal preference. That's what the truck came with. So how you determine, before we determine, I have spare U-joints over here for my truck is a 1810, which you can see on the ruler, 1810, and then it's 1760s. So this size will run between the axles, and this size will run between the transmission and an axle. How you determine if the U-joint goes bad? There's two different styles. There's a full round, which this is full round, and there's a half round. Usually when you buy in a U-joint, you say, and I need a half round. Any kind of half round will come with a one full cap, like this, will get pounded in, and then this one will come with a strap and 2 bolts. Well, obviously this one comes with 2 bolts, but that's what it looks, half round and a full round. I suppose you guys can tell the difference. On a half round, it's easy to determine if the U-joint's going bad. This
kind of step up, a step on the cap, will start polishing itself if it starts spinning inside. You do not want to run it for too long because it will wear in into your yoke, and then you would have to replace the yoke. Anytime you replace the, let's say for some reason you end up taking a drive shaft off, I recommend using new bolts and new straps. You can buy just new straps.
Obviously, on this one, if you're really careful, you can disassemble and reuse them as long as the needles don't fall off inside. Can U-joints create vibration? Yes. U-joint, if you have a bad U-joint, it can create a lot of damage. First of all, they can destroy that seal right here behind this yoke and a power divider. They can knock your carrier bearing out too. I see that happen before. Some people, they think what I call the shaft in between. This is the shaft in between. Why do the U-joints go bad? I think number one is lack of grease. The proper way to grease the U-joint, some people disagree. I pump them full, the stuff start coming out. Spicer themselves and Nipco, U-joint company, anytime you service a truck, they want you to grease the U-joint to that point so the old grease will come out from a U-joint, the new grease start coming out around the seals. I think it's too much. I usually pump them full enough till the grease you would hear start crackling. So lack of grease is number one. Using proper grease too, not use the cheap ass grease what has no silicons or any kind of lubrication stuff. Believe it or not, those U-joints go through a lot of stress. Let me grab one U-joint real quick. Come on. So that's what a full round cap would look like. There's a bunch of needle bearings. The problem is when you disassemble them, you have to pull this cap off from a drive shaft. And if you lose one, it goes bad. This is a half round U-joint. Basically same thing. They still have needles, but they hold on by the strap, this kind of strap like this. That's what I was guys showing you. This is very important. When this start getting polished, that means your cap starts spinning. The cap's not supposed to spin when it sits in a drive shaft because the strap's supposed to hold tight against it. And if you, like I said before, if you let it go for too long, this cap will start wearing in your yoke or your drive shaft, and then you will have to repair your drive line, obviously repair yoke and the U-joint. This bolt, this will be for the full round sight. This is half round sight. They do come with the blue Loctite, and this one comes with the red Loctite. I don't think it's enough Loctite. I end up using Loctite on top of it. Anytime I put a new U-joint or old U-joint, let's say for some reason I took the drive shaft off, like I said before, and you end up putting new, reusing your U-joint, I always do it. I use new cap, new strap, and new bolts. And you Loctite, you put more Loctite on top of this Loctite. I don't think it's enough. So, but that's basically it. I think I got the basic principle of maintaining a U-joint. Forgot to tell you guys, another reason why the U-joints can fail is not the right angle on an air suspension. If you're too high and your drive shaft goes too big of an angle, and if you're too low, it's going too flat. It kind of hurts on a U-joint too. Every suspension Volvo suspension, Peterbilt, they have numerous suspension. Kenworth, Mack, they all have the name of, way they call it, correct name for it, the suspension height adjustment. So it's got to be properly adjusted. When you're running down the road, the angle of drive shaft's got to be exact. Not exact, but it has to be in certain spec. Like I said, if you're running too high, like your airbag stretched out way out, you can knock the U-joint out, seals, bearings, and a differential. You can create a lot of troubles. Knock the carrier bearing out. God forbid you ruin the back housing of the transmission too. What happens if it's run on a too big of an angle, it start vibrating. So that's main causes why the U-joint's going out. I think the grease is the biggest deal. A lot of it gets under greased. I don't think it is such thing over greasing the U-joint or anything on the truck. Besides the throwout bearing on the clutch, if you over grease it, then it's hard to put in the gear. But the U-joints, pump them full of grease. I mean, anytime you put a new U-joint in, you want to fill it up with the grease. That's where the grease travels. New U-joints don't come with too much grease, especially spiders. Some do more than others, but you always, anytime you put a new U-joint in it, you want to pump them full of grease. So anyways, that's all what I got. Thanks for watching, guys.